Our planet Earth is truly a green marvel, isn't it? This vibrant color, so full of life, comes mainly from plants. They are absolutely crucial for all life as we know it. Plants give us the very air we breathe, the oxygen that sustains us. They provide food for countless creatures, including ourselves, forming the base of most food chains. From the tiniest speck of green to the mightiest trees, plants shape our world in remarkable ways. Their diversity is simply astounding, a testament to millions of years of evolution. Understanding this journey, from simple beginnings to complex forms, helps us appreciate the green tapestry around us. It is a story of adaptation, survival, and incredible innovation in the natural world. A story that continues to unfold. Our incredible journey into the plant kingdom begins in the water, with the algae. These are some of the simplest plant-like organisms you can find. Imagine vast oceans and quiet ponds. These are the quintessential homes for most algae. They don't have the complex structures like roots, stems, or leaves that we see in many land plants. Instead, their bodies are often very simple, sometimes just a single cell, or perhaps forming long, thread-like filaments. This simplicity, however, doesn't mean they are insignificant. Far from it. These humble organisms are powerhouses of the aquatic world, performing vital functions. They are the true pioneers of harnessing sunlight. How do these simple algae get their food, you might wonder? Well, they are masters of photosynthesis. This is a remarkable process where they use sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to make their own food, releasing oxygen as a byproduct. It's the same fundamental process that powers the giant trees in our forests. Algae are, in essence, tiny solar panels, converting light energy into chemical energy. When it comes to making more of themselves, algae have a few tricks up their sleeves. Some reproduce asexually, simply splitting into two, or producing tiny spores that grow into new individuals. Others engage in sexual reproduction, a process that mixes genetic material, leading to greater diversity. You can find diverse examples of algae all around. There's Chlamydomonas, a tiny single-celled green alga often found in freshwater. Then there are larger, more complex seaweeds like fucus, commonly seen along rocky shores, a type of brown algae. Polysiphonia, a red alga, presents a more delicate, feathery appearance. These ancient organisms laid the groundwork for all plant life that followed. They were the first to capture the sun's energy in this way, and from these watery beginnings, the great adventure of plant evolution on land was set to begin, a truly momentous step for life on Earth. The stage was set for plants to conquer new frontiers. The next chapter in our plant story involves a truly monumental step, the move from water to land. The first group of plants to attempt this daring feat were the Bryophytes. Imagine a world where land was barren, and these tiny pioneers began to colonize it. Bryophytes, which include mosses and liverworts, typically prefer moist, shady places. This is because they still retain a strong link to their aquatic ancestry. Their body structure is relatively simple, often described as thallus-like, meaning it's not clearly differentiated into true roots, stems, or leaves. Crucially, they lack the sophisticated internal plumbing, a vascular system, that transports water and nutrients in more advanced plants. This limitation keeps them small and close to the ground. The life cycle of bryophytes is quite fascinating and different from what we see in many other plants. The dominant, most visible stage of their life is the gametophyte, which is the part that produces gametes or sex cells. For reproduction to occur, these plants absolutely need water. The male gametes are mobile and must swim through a film of water to reach the female gametes for fertilization. This dependence on water for reproduction clearly shows their transitional nature, halfway between aquatic algae and true land plants. Examples like Riccia, a common liverwort, and Funaria, a well-known moss, beautifully illustrate the stage of plant evolution. They are the quiet conquerors of damp earth. Following the bryophytes, evolution took another significant leap forward with the emergence of pteridophytes. These are often called the first true land plants because they developed a crucial adaptation, a vascular system. This system, composed of specialized tissues called xylem and phloem, acts like an internal network of pipes, efficiently transporting water from the soil up to the leaves and sugars produced during photosynthesis to other parts of the plant. This innovation allowed pteridophytes to grow much taller and larger than bryophytes, and to colonize a wider range of terrestrial habitats, although they still largely preferred moist, shady environments. They truly began to shape the terrestrial landscape. Pteridophytes, which include familiar plants like ferns and less common ones like Selaginella, often have large, conspicuous leaves, which in ferns are called fronds. These fronds are wonderfully designed for capturing sunlight. Unlike the bryophytes, The dominant stage in the life cycle of a pteridophyte is the sporophyte, the spore-producing generation. They reproduce using tiny structures called spores, which are typically released from the underside of their fronds and dispersed by the wind. While they had conquered the structural challenges of land to a greater extent, many still required water for the fertilization process, a lingering tie to their aquatic past. These spore bearers were a dominant feature of ancient ecosystems for millions of years. The plant story continues with another remarkable innovation, the seed. This evolutionary marvel appeared with the Gymnosperms. The term gymnosperm literally means naked seed, and this is a key characteristic of this group. Unlike the flowering plants that would come later, their seeds are not enclosed within a fruit. Instead, they are typically found exposed on the surface of structures like scales, often arranged into cones. This development of the seed was a game changer. It provided a protective casing for the plant embryo, along with a food supply, allowing for better dispersal and survival in harsher, drier conditions than their spore-bearing ancestors could tolerate. Plants were now truly equipped to conquer diverse terrestrial environments. Gymnosperms are vascular plants, meaning they possess that efficient internal transport system of xylem and phloem, just like the pteridophytes. This allows them to grow into large trees, some of the tallest and oldest living organisms on our planet. Think of the majestic pine trees, firs and spruces that form vast forests in many parts of the world. Their leaves are also specially adapted to conserve water, often being needle-like, as in pines, or scale-like, as in cypresses. These adaptations are particularly useful in environments where water might be scarce or frozen for parts of the year. They represent a significant step up in terms of adaptation to terrestrial life. In the life cycle of gymnosperms, the sporophyte generation is completely dominant. The gametophyte generation, which was so prominent in bryophytes, is greatly reduced and entirely dependent on the sporophyte. Another crucial advancement is that gymnosperms, for the most part, do not require water for fertilization. Instead, they rely on wind to carry pollen grains, which contain the male gametes, to the ovules, which house the female gametes. This liberation from the need for water for reproduction was a pivotal moment, allowing gymnosperms to thrive in a much wider array of terrestrial habitats than the bryophytes and pteridophytes before them. They could now colonize drier landscapes with greater success. Familiar examples of gymnosperms include the towering cycas, which often resembles a palm tree but is quite different, and the widespread pinus or pine tree, so characteristic of many northern forests. There's also the fascinating ginkgo biloba, often called a living fossil, because it's the sole survivor of an ancient group of plants. These seed-bearing, non-flowering plants were the dominant vegetation across the globe for millions of years during the age of dinosaurs. They represent a robust and successful lineage in the grand tapestry of plant evolution, paving the way for even more complex forms to arise. Their legacy is still very much visible in many ecosystems today. And so, we arrive at the most diverse and widespread group of plants on Earth today, the Angiosperms, or flowering plants. These are considered the most advanced plants, and their arrival transformed terrestrial ecosystems into the vibrant, colorful landscapes we often associate with nature. The defining characteristic of Angiosperms is, of course, the flower. This intricate structure is not just for show, it's a highly specialized reproductive organ. Flowers attract pollinators like insects, birds, and bats, leading to a much more efficient and targeted transfer of pollen compared to the wind pollination common in gymnosperms. This innovation has spurred an incredible co-evolution between plants and animals. Another key feature that sets angiosperms apart is that their seeds are enclosed within a protective structure called a fruit. The fruit develops from the ovary of the flower after fertilization and serves not only to protect the developing seeds, but also to aid in their dispersal. Think of juicy berries eaten by birds, or burrs that cling to animal fur. These are all clever strategies employed by angiosperms to spread their offspring far and wide. Angiosperms also exhibit a unique process called double fertilization. This involves two fertilization events within the ovule. One fuses with the egg to form the embryo, and the other fuses with other cells to form the endosperm, a nutritive tissue for the embryo. The angiosperms are an incredibly diverse group, broadly divided into two major classes, monocotyledons or monocots, and dicotyledons or dicots. Monocots like wheat, rice, maize, bananas, and lilies typically have one cotyledon or seed leaf in their embryo, parallel veins in their leaves, and flower parts in multiples of 3. Decuts, on the other hand, such as mangoes, peas, roses, and sunflowers, usually have two cotyledons, net-like veins in their leaves, and flower parts in multiples of 4 or 5. This vast diversity allows angiosperms to occupy almost every habitat on Earth, from scorching deserts to frozen tundras, and from freshwater ponds to saltwater marshes. The journey from the simplest algae in ancient waters to the dazzling array of flowering plants we see today is a truly epic tale of evolution. Each group built upon the successes of its predecessors, developing new adaptations that allowed them to thrive in new environments. The Bryophytes took the first tentative steps onto land. Pteridophytes developed vascular systems to grow taller. Gymnosperms perfected the seed. And finally, Angiosperms brought forth the flower and the fruit, leading to an explosion of diversity that has painted our world in a million shades of green, and countless other colors besides. It's a vivid demonstration of life's enduring creativity and resilience.